Delyth is going to speak, and she's a very fast runner, so I'm sure she won't take. Delyth is a runner, and she is coordinator of North Yorkshire Women's Rights Network and a member of Sports Special Interest Group, and she does Park Run, which is a 5-kilometre run, amongst other things that she does, and is going to talk to us about Park Run's capitulation to gender identity ideology. So thank you for waiting, Delyth, and over to you.
So Park Run is a mass participation, global, free 5-kilometre running event held in parks and other open spaces, and I'm sure many of you know that already. There are over 1,100 park runs in the United Kingdom alone, and they are undoubtedly a brilliant way of encouraging people to get active. So I'm talking specifically about Park Run UK's policy, but the international policy looks to be the same. Park Run is not a race. However, it does have all the trappings of competitive sport. By means of a wristband barcode, times are recorded, course records are kept, the fastest 500 each course is listed, personal bests are sought, and something called age grading scores are calculated. The sex, or gender as Park Run calls it, is crucial to this percentage score. So, although it's not a race per se, it most certainly offers the competitive among us the opportunity to compare our achievements, or otherwise, with others in the same sex and age category, or so you would hope. Disappointingly, at the point of registration, Park Run fails to record sex favouring gender, of course, and asks male, female, other gender identity, and prefer not to say. Elsewhere in gender guidance, you are told that the gender marker can be subsequently changed. And furthermore, Park Run says, should an existing park runner change their gender identity on their Park Run profile, the results history will remain unchanged. The history remains unchanged. However, going forward, results will be presented as per their current gender. Should that person wish to backdate their change in gender in total or from a specific date, they can do so by contacting us via our support page, and the historical results will be updated accordingly. Good grief. So they provide a support page for any man to update his results to make them a woman's results. Okay. I was oblivious to this until I received the weekly Park Run email about a year ago. It was headed with a blog called Living as Myself, which was prefaced with Park Run is committed to ensuring our events are as accessible and possible to as many people as possible, which includes breaking down barriers to signing up. As a result, and following a lengthy international consultation, we evolved the gender question on our registration form in 2020 to include another gender identity. And there then followed a piece of propaganda by a man called Ada Macy. There is at least one other Park Run blog piece by a man called, calling himself Kate Hodges, and that's called Where I Know I'm Always Welcome, and Lord's Park Run's inclusive environment. And of course he does. As far as I can ascertain, Hodges runs as a woman. I'm unsure about Macy. When the Women's Rights Network Sports Group was planning its Summer of Sports campaign, it seemed a good time to try to address this nonsense with Park Run. And we tweeted, we agree with Mara Yamuchi that fairness in sport for women matters at all levels, not just elite. Therefore, all women and girls should expect fair sex-based categories. It is disappointing that the otherwise excellent free mass participation event at Park Run considers it inclusive to allow men to change their gender marker to female. So, at Park Run, you record and publish the results of men who identify as female as if they were actually female. How is this fair to the women participating? Mara Yamuchi, she's a former marathon Olympic Olympic marathon runner, by the way. She got in touch with a stark illustration of how this policy of so-called inclusion leads to injustice and unfairness towards women. She linked to parkrun results in relation to a trans-identifying man called Sean, previously Simon, Longthorpe. Longthorpe has held the female course record at Park, that's right, it's Parkrun, since July 2019, despite being male. Longthorpe, then calling himself Simon, is also the fifth overall male at Parkrun. That shows you how good he is. And that was from August 2015. Longthorpe, as Sean, is placed 116th overall in the Parkrun statistics. That is, there are 115 runners faster than Longthorpe, all of them men, obviously including him. The women who hold the second and third places behind him are extremely good runners, but there is little prospect of his record being broken, except maybe by elite female athletes. And then Longthorpe is also the holder of the female record in the age-graded percentage score at Tor Bay Fellow Parkrun. And he's second overall. That is, there's just one man placed above him. Longthorpe then ran at Porthcawl Parkrun just a couple of weeks ago, 20th of May this year, and he smashed the women's record. The real holder of the Porthcawl Parkrun women's record is called Deb Roberts. She's a bit of a local legend in terms of her running, and she understandably feels a bit cheated. There was a piece in the Daily Mail, although it's not clear if she will make a complaint to Parkrun. So we, as the sports group, WRN Sports Group, wrote to Parkrun setting out in detail our concerns about their policy of self-ID and its appalling unfairness to women. They replied, failing to address any of the issues we raised. The cloak of inclusivity was well and truly invoked. Their reply, in 2019, after careful consideration, we decided to continue categorising people based on gender rather than assigned sex. We feel this is in line with our ethos of non-competitive, oh, this is lovely. This is in line with our ethos of non-competitive, socially focused physical activity and allows people to identify in the way they feel most appropriate and comfortable. At Parkrun, we aim to be as inclusive and welcoming as possible. We believe that our current solution is the most appropriate available at this time. Further examples of how Parkrun are corrupting data because of their ideological capture have come to light. In particular, something called age-graded percentage scores. Parkrunners will understand that. It's a bit difficult to get your head around. But they aggregate scores related to your gender and your age. Anyway, a particular trans-identifying man currently scores an absolutely astonishing 90.73%, which places him in the world-class range. His actual score, obviously because he's a man, is 70, which is decent, but nothing to write home about. Since then, I discovered that for 11 years, Aberystwyth Women's Parkrun course record has been held by a man who calls himself Lauren Jeska. Jeska was convicted of attempted murder for a horrific knife attack on a UK athletics official. He was jailed for 18 years in 2017. He tried to murder Ralph Nibbs, the UK athletics employee, who needed to talk to Jeska about his eligibility in the female category in fell racing. Jeska had failed to produce blood samples when requested, and yes, of course, he should not have been in the female category, whatever his testosterone levels were. But in short, Jeska thought it was entirely proportionate to attempt to skewer, according to one witness, poor Mr. Nibbs, who suffered life-changing injuries. WRN, Women's Rights Network founder Heather Binning was interviewed in the Telegraph, prompting their headline, Parkrun Women's Record Held by Transgender Attempted Murderer. Following the revelation of this astonishing information, She said it was gobsmacking that Jessica was in prison for the attempted murder of someone from UK Athletics who was questioning how eligible the runner was, adding that Jessica is in a women's prison despite politicians' mealy-mouthed words that violent male offenders should not be in the female estate. Yes, you heard that correctly. He is being held in a woman's prison. Last Saturday, we tweeted an open letter from the Women's Rights Network to Parkrun, outlining the problem and providing them with a solution. In brief, record by sex, issue a statement that people are expected to participate in the correct sex category, and delete any records held by men in the female category. We've also sent a detailed technical letter in response to their woeful reply to our first letter. And we do so hoping for, but not expecting, a better reply. Since we started our campaign 6 weeks ago, there has been quite a lot of media interest. So, despite studiously ignoring us, the Parkrun CEO, Russ Jefferies, and the board of directors must be aware of the furore at their capture by a misogynistic cult. If you're a park runner, I'd encourage you to email and write hard copy if you can to Parkrun UK. I was going to say I'll put the email and address in the chat. I'm not sure I can because I'm on my phone and yes, I'm not sure I'll manage to do that. But park runners in other countries can also be fairly certain this nonsense applies, but you need to check and then challenge for sure. And you might also want to protest quietly and politely at your local park run. In either instance, please don't give local volunteers a hard time. It's not their fault. Contact the CEO and the directors and tell them what you think. There were, in fact, at least 2 protests at Parkrun in the UK today, one at Porthcawl and one at Bushy Park. I will, I don't know if it's worth me reading out the address in case somebody could put it into the chat. I'll read it out slowly. So send a hard copy to the CEO, Russ Jefferies, Jefferies, Parkrun UK, Frameworks, 2 Sheen, Sheen Road, Richmond, Surrey, TW9 1AE, or email support@parkrun.com. So that's a way of contacting them. You may also, if you would like to contact us, the special interest group, we are, it's all lowercase, sports@womensrights.network, or the central WRN account is admin@womensrights.network. And I'm just showing you my lovely Parkrun t-shirt and lovely Parkrun mug.